Hello, my name's Rob Davidson, and I'm the content analyst at Awin Global. And for today's session, I wanted to talk to you about the new influx of technology partners that have embraced the channel in recent years and why I think they have the potential to transform the perception of the value that the affiliate industry can drive for businesses everywhere. So I'm going to assume that everyone listening in is familiar with the quote I've deliberately misinterpreted for my session title today. Move fast and break things was the mantra that Mark Zuckerberg famously championed in the early years of the social platform. And it's worth giving you the full quote and the context of that mantra to appreciate it more fully. So the philosophy he was so keen to follow in those early years was essentially focused on acting like a startup, putting product development first at the expense of everything else, moving at speed constantly to ensure that Facebook was always learning about what worked and what didn't. And that's certainly a sentiment that has helped them historically to scale, but which, as we all know, has also brought with it a fair amount of baggage too. After all, it's really difficult to act like a startup when you're responsible for curating information to almost 3 billion people across the planet. And that's landed them in some pretty hot water in recent years, most notably, of course, with the 2018 Senate hearings following the Cambridge Analytica scandal. Now, admittedly, this was damaging only to the public perception, maybe the media perception of Facebook, because let's be honest, the business has continued to succeed in spite of its current image. In fact, investors felt that Zuckerberg handled those hearings in 2018 so well that Facebook's stock value jumped the next day by almost 5%, adding more than $20 billion in market value to the company in the process. In those hearings, Zuckerberg was specifically grilled by one of the senators on the move fast and break things mentality or culture, and whether that culture had played a role in the subsequent controversies around Cambridge Analytica and the manipulation of influence on its social platform. And it turns out that Facebook actually changed their mantra back in 2014 to move fast with stable infrastructure. Certainly not quite as catchy, but interestingly, it does still emphasize the value of moving quickly. Speed and agility are clearly an invaluable asset for so many businesses today, and none more so than those operating in the digital marketing and e-commerce spaces where technological leaps are forever evolving at pace. That pace of technological change has probably been best expressed through Moore's law, the law that up until quite recently stated that computer processing power would double every couple of years while the cost would halve, leading to ever greater leaps in innovation. Now, another less well-known theory is described by the academic Daniel Smihula, a Slovakian academic, who suggests that long-term economic periods of boom and growth are actually based upon a flurry of new technological developments being launched and then adopted right across society. Now, we can see these waves occurring throughout both pre-modern and modern civilization, according to Smihula, from the introduction of crop rotation cycles or the use of fertilizers in medieval agriculture, through to the building of canal or rail transport systems, or even textile manufacturing during the Industrial Revolution. And one of the key aspects of Smihula's waves is that these waves are coming faster and faster as technology has increased in sophistication and society has become more and more interconnected. So if you think about the length of time that it took for innovative methods of agriculture in the Middle Ages to seep out from where they were first invented and then be adopted across broader society, you can see why these waves occurred more slowly the further back in time we go. Compare that to today's world, in which our increased interconnectedness means that a new idea like Facebook can spring up from a student dorm room at Harvard back in 2004 and be valued at over $1 trillion as a company just 17 years later. And that sense of things changing faster than ever is a feeling that I think we'd all be familiar with operating our industry. Ad tech and marketing have been one of the main beneficiaries of these technological developments, and that's been a huge advantage for the industry, with the digital wave engulfing the US ad industry, as we can see here, and now dominating the spend that's invested in it by brands. Yet the rapid pace of change comes with its own dilemmas, such as ensuring that we have the right people and the right tools to keep up to speed with consumer expectations, not to mention our competitors, of course. So in the UK, the IAB's Digital Skills Gap report was actually commissioned to explore the struggles that businesses face in terms of finding the right staff with up-to-date skills to implement their marketing needs. Almost 90% of the respondents to that report cited this as a major challenge for their company, with Natalie Bell, the managing director at the agency Manning Gottlieb, who's quoted on screen here, suggesting that it's actually stifling broader industry growth. And a more recent report that came to similar conclusions was published by the World Federation of Advertisers just a few weeks ago. So their media capability gap report involved in speaking to senior client-side marketers representing some $40 billion in annual global ad spend. And it asked them where they felt their biggest challenges were currently. Now, e-commerce and shoppable media came out as the single biggest hurdle that they struggle with. And not one of the respondents was currently satisfied with their present technical capabilities, with many of them looking to the likes of Amazon or Alibaba for inspiration. Now, this dilemma is further heightened by the tension between in-housing and outsourcing expertise for companies. In-housing has largely been the trend for the last few years, particularly in terms of digital marketing. And you can understand, I think, some of the reasons why, with digital being now such a core component of marketing strategy, it makes sense to invest long-term in the area and ensure that you have the right talent internally to deliver on your goals. However, this approach does put huge pressure on your internal resource and capabilities, retraining, re-education, potentially even having to develop or acquire new technologies that then need to be integrated and deployed internally. There are actually still huge advantages to outsourcing support in specific spaces where it's so difficult to constantly keep up with, let alone stay ahead of the curve. Now, interestingly, a Forrester survey, which we can see here from Q4 2019, so actually just prior to the pandemic hitting, asked senior marketers about the specific areas in which they currently in-house versus outsource expertise. And it also asked them whether that status would be changing in the next 3 years as well. So digital strategy and campaign coordination were areas where in-housing already had a majority share and where the future intent was to continue to shift more expertise in-house. But when it came to things like website tech, social media and marketing, a minority relied on in-house talent for these services, and the general trend for the future was to continue relying or even growing their reliance on other third parties going forward. And post-pandemic, many brands are rethinking the in-housing trend, realizing that over the course of the last 18 months or so, that there are actually benefits to relying on other experts that they can call upon when needed for specific goals. Now, taking a step back, the story of the last 2 decades in advertising, I think, has largely been about improved consumer choice. The internet and e-commerce have enabled shoppers everywhere to shop from anywhere. As a retailer, you no longer just compete with those brands that are geographically close to you. Your competition is profoundly global. Search engines, comparison websites, social media, and a whole host of other online resources have all provided shoppers with more information and more choice than ever before. And in response, we've seen huge declines in brand loyalty. So shoppers are more willing than ever now to shop around, and the pandemic has been a further catalyst for this. McKinsey's latest consumer poll survey suggests that around 3/4 of shoppers have actually tried a completely new shopping behavior during the lockdown, including trying different brands. And the vast majority of those same shoppers intend to continue that trend even as the lockdown begins to lift. To fight back, more and more businesses are looking at ways in which they can re-establish direct, long-term relationships with consumers. Now, for advertisers, this has been evident in the proliferation of loyalty programs that we now see being offered by practically every business, every brand under the sun. Everybody from Krispy Kreme's offering everyday donuts to Swarovski's high-end jewelry. And I think it's also apparent in the rise of direct-to-consumer, the direct-to-consumer trend. What began as a means of startups, smaller challenger brands using guerrilla marketing tactics online to try and take share from some of the larger incumbents in their sectors or industries, has led to now even the biggest brands in the world pursuing this approach. Nike, probably the biggest sportswear brand in the world, now drives almost 40% of its sales direct, mostly through its website, whereas historically it had relied upon regional resellers to sell its products. And from a publisher perspective, we can see the same trend manifest in the rise of subscriptions, a direct way of generating recurring revenue from a loyal base of users. And this approach does appear to be broadly popular with consumers too. The Subscription Economy Index tracks the value of those public companies offering subscription models, and it's seen enormous growth in this space compared to the likes of the S&P 500 or even the broader growth of US retail. And these trends mean that it's more important than ever to ensure that your own website, your primary storefront in today's digital first climate, is fully optimized for extracting value from its traffic. And in fact, that's exactly what many senior marketers now recognize. Almost half cited their own website optimization as the key area for improving customer experience in an Ascend 2 study recently. Optimizing your own site is one of the major dilemmas that businesses face in terms of that speed of change. Tech trends evolve so quickly, it's incredibly hard to keep up. Plus, it's difficult to make these changes at speed as well. So with that increased emphasis on your own digital real estate, how can you ensure that your website is absolutely maximizing the value of the traffic that lands on it? Particularly when customer expectations and the ways in which you can optimize your own performance are constantly evolving at breakneck speed. This is, I think, where the new influx of technology partners into the affiliate channel can really offer huge value, enabling businesses to solve a wide array of their own e-commerce dilemmas without the need to necessarily have to reskill their own staff or having to develop or acquire new technology themselves. And with platforms like Awin's providing a curated, pre-vetted selection of these partners within their core affiliate tracking setups, these partners are now available to experiment with at the touch of a button and without those upfront costs. Outsource innovation on a performance model. So currently we have around 60 technology partners that are integrated into the advertiser and publisher master tags, offering a diverse set of solutions that can help businesses access cutting-edge marketing technologies. Now, for brands, this covers everything from AI-powered upselling, personalized product recommendations, social referral technology for converted customers to turn them into brand advocates for your business, or virtual shopping assistants, or even 3D video modeling solutions that can reduce returns in the fashion industry. Now, Samsung are just one of the brands currently taking advantage of this approach. And when we spoke to Adam there recently on the Awin Talks podcast, he highlighted the value they see in being able to access these kinds of partner and these kinds of solutions so quickly through the affiliate channel. Now, for a company of their size, deploying a new technology solution on their site by the traditional route would mean joining the back of an extremely long development queue, competing against numerous other internal priorities. Instead, using the Awin Master Tag, they could quickly switch on a new solution, experiment with it, and see if it worked. And that's exactly what they did with Upsell It, an on-site optimization specialist who could help them to improve the customer experience on their site. After analyzing user behavior on the Samsung UK website, Upsell It quickly developed two different distinct algorithms that could be deployed to make personalized recommendations to customers based on the items that were already in their basket, as well as another one which made intelligent suggestions of alternative products when a user found something that was actually out of stock. Now, these initial solutions quickly delivered huge value to Samsung's business, increasing revenue, increasing sales, improving conversion rates and AOVs as well, to the point where the partnership was then rolled out beyond just the UK website to multiple other European markets as well. Now, for publishers, affiliate platforms can offer similar access to innovative, relevant technologies. We currently feature a mix of publisher-focused tech partners alongside our own proprietary offerings. So everything from visual search and connected commerce solutions to automated ad disclosure or product link monetization, and even improved tracking and attribution features. Tipsa are a relatively new strategic partner that we're working with, and they've helped the popular fashion publisher ShopStyle offer direct commerce options to their sizable audience. So instead of clicking through to their fashion partners' websites in the traditional affiliate fashion, Tipsa's technology enables shoppers to purchase right at the point of inspiration on the ShopStyle site, while still giving brands full control over those converted customers. Now, in doing so, they created a seamless shopping experience for ShopStyle's audience and removed some of the frictions that might ordinarily occur for publishers when handing over their traffic for an advertiser to then convert. Since launching in January, the results have been hugely impressive, and Tipsa now contribute a significant portion of ShopStyle's affiliate revenues and are even helping them to acquire completely new customers who haven't shopped with them before. So I wanted to finish up today by explaining why I think these new technology partners that I've been talking about have the potential to revolutionize the wider perception of the affiliate channel. Scott Galloway is a marketing professor at NYU. You might be familiar with him from the popular podcast Pivot. And he uses a concept called the clock model to describe the different phases in which brands interact and engage with their customers. So on the clock, 12 to 4 is the pre-purchase phase, which is primarily concerned with advertising in all of its various forms. 4 to 8 is the purchase phase, where brands interact directly with the consumer for the first time. And this might be in their physical stores or actually on their websites themselves. And then finally, from 8 to 12, you have the post-purchase phase. And that entails everything that comes after the transaction. So anything to do with your CRM, your customer service, your loyalty programs, all of those different aspects of your business. Now, if we think historically of the affiliate channel as a means of driving inbound leads and traffic, a fairly simple relationship of supply and demand between publishers on one side and advertisers on the other, and operating primarily in that pre-purchase phase, that 12 to 4 phase. I think that the influx of technology partners to the industry that we're now seeing is transforming that dynamic, and it's actually expanding the scope of what our channel can offer. So in addition to those traditional partnerships continuing to drive value through demand generation, we'll start to see new growth coming via these new technical e-commerce solutions that enable businesses to optimize their customer experiences in those latter spaces on the clock, in the purchase and even post-purchase phases. And so, taking my inspiration from Prof G, I wanted to conclude with my own little concept to help visualize how I see a network's role fitting into this new way of looking at the affiliate channel. So if we refer back to those waves that I mentioned in the presentation earlier and use them as a kind of metaphor for the innovation that these tech partners can supply to businesses, we can then, I think, start to see how a network can perform the role of a surfboard for your business, whether you're a brand, a publisher, or even an agency. And this marketing technology surfboard is then capable of riding these rolling waves of marketing innovation that are coming thicker and faster than ever before. So by using your network or your platform in this manner, you can continue to be agile, adopting these cutting edge marketing solutions and continuing to move fast without breaking things. And by that, I don't just mean literally not breaking things, i.e. not breaking your website and trying out these new tools. I also mean in terms of not breaking the bank, because the performance model inherently insulates you from the cost risk of trying these new innovations out. Last year alone in 2020, Awin Brands generated more than $300 million in sales revenue through our technology partners. And the vast majority of that activity was carried out on a CPA. And I also mean it in terms of not breaking your stride. So it allows you to continue moving forward in your own strategic direction by switching on those specific technical partners whose solutions align with your specific business goals. And I think that that combination has the potential to completely alter the traditional perception of our industry and the value that it can drive, and for businesses to embrace it wholeheartedly as this great space for innovation, experimentation, and speed. Thanks very much.